Come on, when I say that, you know what I meant. I meant when it comes to laws
I just need something practical. We have so much wide open thought here. I need something practical, something that can actually be done. Tell me something we can do at this moment.
If that was the case, then we wouldn't be in the situation that we're in right now. If somebody had,
but like little steps can lead to bigger steps. Maybe if we have all those prisons that are privatized and are not doing well, maybe we can go about shutting those down. That's one step. So why not propose that one step?
Well, you just did. So there we go.
Okay, but I'm asking from you. You said just get rid of everything.
I did not say that, Siobhan.
Can we like rewind in here? Can we rewind and see
of this time so I can go back on YouTube and say,
okay.
Kevin,
go ahead. Juan.
Listen, I share your sentimentality about abolishing all the government, but we can't necessarily take that drastic step because it would bring about chaos.
But out of chaos comes order. So maybe we need some of that.
Yes,
but
it's a lot of money to be made in chaos too, man.
Here he goes. Here's the businessman in him.
It's the truth, though. Really, though, it's the truth. That's what.
Wes, are you still there?
No, I turned my mic off. I'm done.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but Juan, you were saying?
Yes, well, I'm sorry if this has been brought up and I haven't been paying attention to it, but couldn't we just do what we always do? Take out the bad and improve on the good with the government?
Yeah, like a restructuring, yeah.
It doesn't have to be immediate, but it can at least be done step by step.
Let's get some teachers in Congress, some scientists. Some people that aren't businessmen or lawyers.
I feel like they rather make their living honestly.
You know what, the teachers?
Yeah. And myself as well. That's why I wouldn't.
How different would the world be if we had more teachers in Congress?
That's true.
That's what Ben Carson was on. That's why I really do.
We are not going to talk about Ben Carson.
No, but really though, I like Ben because that was one of the main things he said in the first debate, that the country was built off of engineers, businessmen, doctors, lawyers.
Some facts,
You know, and so that's really a reason why he ran. I respect him for that. Like I said, I respect his views on everything. I respect everybody's views. I'm more so about these plans they proposing. This is, like I said, we need to start discussing what the issues are.
Okay.
We're talking about everything about how can they appease to the minorities and what they plan on. Let's go to their websites. It's all there. Let's do that.
When I said that, I was saying what I'm looking forward to tonight.
I hate how Wes is stereotyping me and you as angry black women.
But time out. I didn't stereotype nobody.
We're going to have to go to the debate. So what do you have to say, Wes?
I didn't stereotype nobody. I did not stereotype anybody. So get it right. Do not put words in my mouth.
Juan, who do you think is going to win in this debate? Bernie or Hillary? Just give me a name. Who do you think?
I like Bernie Sanders to win.
Okay, how about you, Wes?
I just want to see what they talk about. I'm taking notes.
I think Bernie will win.
Yes.
And who do you think?
I think Bernie will win.
All right. Well,
but I do think that Hillary will come very close because she has the rhetoric that will allow her to make everybody.
Okay, let's check back in and see what's up.
They're gonna spend more time arguing
with me so that the noise doesn't affect the.
Yeah. Of course, we have you on.
Damn, let her finish.
That wasn't me.
But Les, seriously, you should come in more often. Like, seriously. You should start even hosting.
Good evening, and thank you. We are happy to welcome you to Milwaukee for this Democratic debate. We are especially pleased to thank our partners at Facebook who have helped us set up a vibrant conversation among voters who are undecided. And tonight, you're going to hear some of their questions for the candidates. And you can follow along at home on the PBS NewsHour page on Facebook. We also want to thank our host, the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, on whose campus we meet here in the beautiful Helen Bader Concert Hall. We want to also extend our warm thanks to Milwaukee Public Radio and Milwaukee Public Television, as well as all of our friends at the PBS member stations across the country tuning in tonight. This is the 6th time the Democrats have met face-to-face. Each time we learn more about them and the presidents they say they want to be. You know you're watching, whether you're a Democrat or Republican or neither, because you believe the outcome of the election is important to you. And we believe that too. With that, let's welcome the candidates to the stage. Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont. Welcome, Senator. Great to see you. And former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton.
Oh, she wore that yellow for the
Kevin needs to. Oh, my cheek.
Damn, they ain't even shake hands.
Welcome to you both.
It's dirty.
Now, a word about format. There will be 2 short breaks, and the rules are simple: 90 seconds for each answer, and 30 seconds for the other candidate to respond. With Iowa and New Hampshire behind us, we are now broadening the conversation to America's heartland and beyond, including here in Wisconsin. Now, let's turn to the candidates for their opening statements. The order was decided by coin toss, and Senator Sanders, you go first.
Well, Glenn and Judy, thank you very much for hosting this event, and PBS, thank you.
Hello, guys. Please come to
9 months ago,
if you guys want to
our
watch the
campaign
debate.
began.
Right now, you can.
And when it began, we had no political organization, no money,
Oh, very well.
and not much name recognition
Your comments
outside of the state of Vermont.
Yes.
Please, let
A
us
lot has happened in 9 months.
DINtv.com and chat with
And what has happened is, I think the American people have responded to a series of basic truths.
Access your mic and camera.
And that is that we have today a campaign finance system which is corrupt, which is undermining American democracy,
Yes, I know your future.
which allows Wall Street and billionaires to pour huge sums of money into the political process to elect the candidates of their choice.
That as well.
And aligned with the corrupt campaign finance system is a rigged economy. And that's an economy where ordinary Americans are working longer hours for lower wages. They're worried to death about the future of their kids. And yet they are seeing almost all new income and all new wealth going to the top 1%. And then in addition to that, the American people are looking around and they see a broken criminal justice system. They see more people in jail in the United States of America than any other country on earth. 2.2 million. Indian spending $80 billion a year locking up fellow Americans in jail. They see kids getting arrested for marijuana, getting to prison, getting a criminal record.
Big issue, marijuana.
While they see executives on Wall Street who paid billions of dollars in settlements and get no prosecution at all. No criminal records for them.
Hello, Jonah.
I think what our campaign is indicating is that the American people are tired of establishment politics, tired of establishment economics. They want a political revolution in which millions of Americans stand up, come together, not let the Trumps of the world divide us, and say, you know what, in this great country, we need a government that represents all of us, not just a handful of wealthy campaign contributors. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Sanders.
You guys did a good for him.
Thank you, Senator Sanders.
Oh, we know what you're voting for.
I'm running for president to knock down all the barriers that are holding Americans back and to rebuild the ladders of opportunity that will give every American a chance to advance, especially those who have been left out and left behind. I know a lot of Americans are angry about the economy, and for good cause. Americans haven't had a raise in 15 years. There aren't enough good-paying jobs, especially for young people. And yes, the economy is rigged in favor of those at the top.
Okay.
We both agree that we have to get unaccountable money out of our political system.
Unaccountable. That's
And that we have to do much more to ensure that Wall Street never wrecks Main Street again. But I want to go further. I want to tackle those barriers that stand in the way of too many Americans right now. African Americans who face discrimination in the job market, education, housing, and the criminal justice system. Hardworking immigrant families living in fear who should be brought out of the shadows so they and their children can have a better future. Guaranteeing that women's work finally gets the pay, the equal pay that we deserve. I think America can only live up to its potential.
What do you say?
When we make sure that every American has a chance to live up to his or her potential. That will be my mission as president, and I think together we will make progress. Thank you both.
That was his thesis statement. She just gave us a whole bunch of
Thank you both, and we'll be right back after
Bernie had a
the
uterus,
break
it would have
with
sounded like that
questions.
speech.
The PBS NewsHour Democratic debate in partnership with Facebook will continue in a moment.
So that was pretty.
Okay, so now let's talk about opening statements. Guys, everybody's unmuted, I believe.
No, hold on. One, it's now you are not anymore.
Okay, yeah, you're unmuted now, Kirill.
I mean, I think they just spoke about the big banks and how about how this American system, it's a plutocracy, which is all run by the wealthy people. And yes, that it's obvious, and that's how it's been, and that's how it will be, and that's how it's going to continue to be. They didn't speak anything new to my ears. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that Hillary definitely did. Yeah, I asked. Okay, Wes, what do you think about the opening statement? But I wanted to I'm going to say what I want to say first. I think Hillary did that whole thing about where, you pick fun at yourself before anybody else gets a chance to. She's like, look, we need to get big money out of politics so that nobody will attack her. But we're still going to attack you, Hillary. But anyway, Wes.
Money. That's why she couldn't even bring herself to say what it is. She had to work around it. Unaccountable money.
Okay.
What are your thoughts in this opening statement, Wes?
Yes, Wes, talk to us.
I'm just going to say it's politics as usual. I'm waiting to see what they say.
What about you, Juan? What are you thinking so far?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm a little bit disrupted with how Clinton put it out, because basically, here's the thing. But I know I shouldn't address the TPP too much because I'll sound like a broken record, but it is something. All right. Basically, here's the thing. There's always to talk about the 1%, right? Mm-hmm. And they're the ones that are backing it up.
30 seconds.
Okay. Clinton is for the TPP, and Bernie Sanders is not for it. Mm-hmm. She says that she's not opposing it, but it's somewhat of a lie based on the evidence.
All right. Let's check back into the debate. Let's see what they're talking about.
Please mute me right now so I don't hear.
All right. Thanks.
Jeb Bush is the only person who's publicly announced we need more millionaires.
Okay.
1% of the entire U.S. economy. How much larger would government be in the lives of Americans under a Sanders presidency?
Well, to put that in a context, Judy, I think we have to understand that in the last 30 years in this country, there has been a massive transfer of wealth going from the hands of working families into the top 1/10 of 1%, whose percentage of wealth has doubled. In other words, very rich are getting richer. Almost everybody else is getting poorer. What I believe is the United States, in fact, should join the rest of the industrialized world and guarantee health care to all people. Our Medicare for All single-payer proposal will save the average middle-class family $5,000 a year. I do believe that in the year 2016, we have to look in terms of public education as colleges, as part of public education, making public colleges and universities tuition-free. I believe that when real unemployment is close to 10%, and when our infrastructure, our roads, our bridges, our water systems, Flint, Michigan comes to mind, our wastewater plants, our rail, our airports, in many places are disintegrating, we can create 13 million jobs by rebuilding our infrastructure at a cost of $1 trillion.
But my question is, how big would government be? Would there be any limit on the size and role of government?
Of course there will be a limit. But when today you have massive levels of income and wealth inequality, when the middle class is disappearing, you have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country on earth. Yes, in my view, the government of a democratic society has a moral responsibility to play a vital role in making sure that all of our people have a decent standard of living.
Judy, I think that the best analysis that I've seen based on Senator Sanders' plans is that it would probably increase the size of the federal government by about 40%. But what is most concerning to me is that in looking at the plans, let's take healthcare, for example. Last week in a CNN town hall, the senator told a questioner that the questioner would spend about $500 in taxes to get about $5,000 in health care.
So why did Rihanna give Hillary?
Every progressive economist who has analyzed that says that the numbers don't add up. And that's a promise that cannot be kept. And it's really important now that we are getting into the rest of the country that both of us are held to account for explaining what we are proposing, because especially with healthcare, this is not about math, this is about people's lives. And we should level with the American people about what we can do to make sure they get quality, affordable healthcare.
Well, let us level with the American people. Secretary Clinton has been going around the country saying Bernie Sanders wants to dismantle the Affordable Care Act. People are going to lose their Medicaid. They're going to lose their CHIP program. I have fought my entire life to make sure that health care is a right for all people. We're not going to dismantle anything. But here is the truth. 29 million people have no health insurance today in America. We pay by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. 1 out of 5 Americans can't even afford the prescriptions their doctors are writing. Millions of people have high deductibles and co-payments. What I said, and let me repeat it. I don't know what economist Secretary Clinton is talking to.
Wow.
But what I have said, and let me repeat it, that yes, the family right in the middle of the economy would pay $500 more in taxes and get a reduction in their health care costs of $5,000. In my view, health care is a right of all people, not a privilege, and I will fight for that.
Well, I can only say that we both share the goal of universal health care coverage. You know, before it was called Obamacare, it was called Hillary Care. And I took on the drug companies and I took on the insurance companies to try to get us universal health care coverage. And why I am a staunch supporter of President Obama's principal accomplishment, namely the Affordable Care Act, is because I know how hard it was to get that done. We are at 90% coverage. We have to get the remaining 10. I've set forth very specific plans about how to get costs down, especially prescription drug costs. And it is difficult to, in any way, argue with the goal that we both share, but I think the American people deserve to know specifically how this would work. If it's Medicare for all, then you no longer have the Affordable Care Act, because the Affordable Care Act, as you know very well, is based on the insurance system, based on exchanges, based on a subsidy system. The Children's Health Insurance Program, which I helped to create, which covers 8 million kids, is also a different kind of program. So if you're having Medicare for all, single payer, you need to level with people about what they will have at the end of the process you are proposing. And based on every analysis that I can find by people who are sympathetic to the goal, the numbers don't add up, and many people will actually be worse off than they are right now.
Final thoughts, Senator.
That is absolutely inaccurate. Look, here is the reality, folks. There is one major country on earth that does not guarantee health care to all people. There is one major country, the United States, which ends up spending almost 3 times per capita what they do in the UK, guaranteeing health care to all people. 50% more than they do in France, guaranteeing health care to all people, far more than our Canadian neighbors who guarantee health care to all people. Please do not tell me how much in this country, if, and here's the if, we have the courage to take on the drug companies and have the courage to take on the insurance companies and the medical equipment suppliers. If we do that, yes, we can guarantee health care to all people in a much more cost-effective way.
Well, let me just say once again that having been in the trenches fighting for this, I believe strongly we have to guarantee health care. I believe we are on the path to doing that. The last thing we need is to throw our country into a contentious debate about health care again. And we are not England. We are not France. We inherited a system that was set up during World War II. 170 million Americans get health insurance right now through their employers. So what we have tried to do and what President Obama succeeded in doing was to build on the healthcare system we have, get us to 90% coverage. We have to get the other 10% of the way to 100. I far prefer that and the chances we have to be successful there than trying to start all over again, gridlocking our system and trying to get from 0 to 100%.
I'd like to move along. You also have proposed fairly expansive ideas about government. You may remember this pledge from a State of the Union address at which I believe you were present, in which these words were said: "The era of big government is over." You may remember that. When asked their feelings about the federal government this week, 61% of New Hampshire Democrats told exit pollsters that they are angry or at least dissatisfied. Given what you and Senator Sanders are proposing, an expanding government in almost every area of our lives, is it fair for Americans who fear government to fear you?
No, but it is absolutely fair and necessary for Americans to vet both of our proposals, to ask the really hard questions about what is it we think we can accomplish, why do we believe that, and what would be the results for the average American family. In my case, whether it's health care or getting us to debt-free tuition or moving us toward paid family leave, I have been very specific about where I would raise the money, how much it would cost, and how I would move this agenda forward. I've tried to be as specific to answer questions so that my proposals can be vetted, because I feel like we have to level with people for the very reason, Glenn, that you are mentioning. There is a great deal of skepticism about the federal government. I'm aware of that. It comes from the right, from the left, from people on all sides of the political spectrum. So we have a special obligation to make clear what we stand for, which is why I think we should not make promises we can't keep, because that will further, I think, alienate Americans from understanding and believing we can together make some real changes in people's lives.
But I haven't heard either of you put a price tag on your.
I would put a price tag. My price tag is about $100 billion a year, and again, paid for. And what I have said is, I will not throw us further into debt. I believe I can get the money that I need by taxing the wealthy, by closing loopholes, the things that we are way overdue for doing. And I think once I'm in the White House, we will have enough political capital to be able to do that. But I am conscious of the fact that we have to also be very clear, especially with young people, about what kind of government is going to do what for them and what it will cost.
Senator.
Well, Secretary Clinton, you're not in the White House yet.
Ooh, that's good. That's good. That's good.
And let us be clear that every proposal that I have introduced has been paid for. For example, who in America denies that we have an infrastructure that's crumbling? Roads, bridges, water systems, wastewater. Who denies that? Who denies that real unemployment today, including those who have given up looking for work and are working part-time, is close to 10%? Who denies that African-American youth unemployment, real, is over 50%? We need to create jobs. So yes, I will do away with the outrageous loopholes that allow profitable multinational corporations to stash billions of dollars in the Cayman Islands and Bermuda, and they're giving you pay zero in federal income tax. Yeah, I'm going to do away with that. We'll use those proceeds, $100 billion a year, to invest in rebuilding our infrastructure. Yes, I believe that as a result of the illegal behavior on Wall Street, that there are a Wall Street that drove this country into the worst economic downturn since the Great Recession, Great Depression.
Please.
Yeah, I do believe that now, after the American people
let's stop here. And now they talked about on healthcare, which it doesn't speak to me. But let me unmute Juan. So healthcare doesn't speak to me at all.
Mhm.
I don't know what you guys think. What do you think about what is spoke about between healthcare and big government, Juan?
Well, I believe that there is a major problem with the healthcare issue within the government. But between the two who would actually tackle it most effectively, I would say Sanders is the most prominent.
Okay. Do we really want to know the ins and outs of healthcare?
Why is the most prominent? Why?
Well, I believe that Sanders is more honest within the issue because basically I know I hate bringing this up again, but the TPP does mention about how it's going to increase the prices on like prescription drugs and etc. And Clinton was for it and is going to do it based on her actions if she's elected for president.
Let's see. What do you think about the issue spoke about on West, which is healthcare and big government? 30 seconds.
Yeah,
I can hear you.
Yes.
I couldn't hear Warren, but the problem is I didn't answer the questions asked. That's really where I'm at.
That is true, yes.
Yes. But they did speak about healthcare, and Hillary was saying that if you are saying that you want to replace Obamacare, that means you want Medicare all the way across the board, which would make the Affordable Care Act not in effect anymore.
But understand, like I said, I've already read these people's plans. I'm waiting to hear them say their numbers and see if they're willing to admit their numbers publicly. I already understand what's going on. That's why I want to see how they handle the crowd and how they handle themselves. Because if they're not willing to admit, at least Hillary put a number on it. Now she didn't say $1 billion. No, it was $100 billion a year. And she didn't say how she would pay for that. That's the problem because the question next
she said that she would
tax the wealthy.
Yes.
Close some loopholes, but never mind.
What loopholes? That's what you really want to know.
Now, let's switch into Jonah. Do you have any thoughts in healthcare so far or big government? Just throw your 2 cents in before we jump back into the debate. Can you hear me?
We can't hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear you. I think it might be something wrong with your mic. How about you, Xavier? Can you hear us? Please try and talk to us. See if we can hear you. Just to throw your 2 cents in.
Yeah, and if you can't talk or we can't hear you through your microphone, you can write to us in the DIN feed.
Yes, you can definitely do that right on the DIN feed. What you think about the topics. Now, while you guys get situated, let's go back into the debate. See what they're talking about now. Hopefully, they're not talking about healthcare anymore.
That the women in our country face. So I'm going to keep making that case. I'm going to keep making sure that everything I've done, everything that I stand for is going to be well known.
People don't care.
I have no argument with anyone making
Do we care about the ins and outs?
her mind about who to support. I just hope that by the end of this campaign, there'll be a lot more supporting me. That's what I'm working toward.
As you know, just quickly, as you know, your strong supporter, former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright, said the other day that there's a special place in hell for women who don't support other women.
That's interesting.
Do you agree with what she said?
Well, look, I think that she's been saying that for as long as I've known her, which is about 25 years. But it doesn't change my view that we need to empower everyone, women and men, to make the best decisions in their minds that they can make. That's what I've always stood for. And when it comes to the issues that are really on the front lines as to whether we're going to have equal pay, paid family leave, some opportunity for women to go as far as their hard work and talent take them, I think that we still have some barriers to knock down, which is why that's at the core of my campaign. I would notice, just for a historic aside, somebody told me earlier today we've had like 200 presidential primary debates. And this is the first time there have been a majority of women on the stage. So, we'll take our progress wherever we can go.
Let's move forward.
Senator Sanders, you're in the minority, but we still want to hear from you.
Look, we are fighting for every vote that we can get from women, from men, straight, gay, African Americans, Latinos, Asian Americans.
Minorities.
We are trying to bring America together around an agenda that works for working families and the middle class. I am very proud. If my memory is not correct, I think I am. But I have a lifetime, and I've been in Congress a few years, a lifetime
20-something years
pro-choice voting record. I am very proud that over the years, we have had the support in my state of Vermont from very significant majorities
of women. For him, though.
I'm very proud that I support legislation that is currently in the Congress. Got support of almost all progressive Democrats in the House and Senate, which says we will end the absurdity of women today making 79 cents on the dollar compared to men. And we will join the rest of the industrialized world in saying that paid family and medical leave should be a right of all working families.
Senator, do you worry at all that you will be the instrument of thwarting history, as Senator Clinton keeps claiming that she might be the first woman president?
Well, you know, I think from an historical point of view, somebody with my background, somebody with my views, somebody who has spent his entire life taking on the big money interest, I think a Sanders victory would be of some historical accomplishment as well.
I have said many times, you know, I'm not asking people to support me because I'm a woman. I'm asking people to support me because I think I'm the most qualified, experienced, and ready person to be the president and the commander-in-chief. I appreciate Senator Sanders' voting record, and I was very proud to get the endorsement of the Planned Parenthood Action Fund because I've been a leader on these issues. I've gone time and time again to take on the vested interests who would women's healthcare decisions the province of the government instead of women ourselves. I'm very proud that NARAL endorsed me because when it comes to it, we need a leader on women's issues. Somebody who, yes, votes right, but much more than that, leads the efforts to protect the hard-fought gains that women have made that, make no mistake about it, are under tremendous attack, not just by the Republican presidential candidates, but by a whole national effort to try to set back women's rights. So I'm asking women, I'm asking men to support me because I'm ready to go into the White House on January 20th, 2017 and get to work on both domestic and foreign policy challenges.
Final comment.
Foreign policy. Let's see, Bernie. Let's see what Bernie has to say. I want to say something about women's rights and
no question, women's rights are on the fierce
inequality
of this country. And I'll tell you something.
But wait, how did the Republicans play a step back?
I will not shock anybody to suggest that in politics there is occasionally a little bit of hypocrisy, just a little bit.
Okay.
All over this country, we have Republican candidates for president saying, we hate the government. Government is the enemy. We're going to cut Social Security to help you. We're going to cut Medicare and Medicaid, federal aid to education to help you because the government is so terrible. But by the way, when it comes to a woman having to make a very personal choice, in that case, my Republican colleagues love the government and want the government to make that choice for every woman in America. If that's not hypocrisy, I don't know what hypocrisy is.
Thank you very much. Thank you both. We turn now to the
I missed it. What did you say?
We turn now to the first of several.
Let's settle in this issue, and this is equality for women and women's making 79 cents to the dollar. What's your take on that? Then we jump into Juan and Carell. What's your take on that?
What are you saying?
But he is he absolutely, I would say, he brilliantly just compare all these things because, of course, it's just not like
this public debate, not just about like memorize your speech and then like a robot to convey it and repeat. Yes, play Rubio. Yeah. But it's about like real interactions, and if you compare those idiots who wants to fight with all war without fixing economy, the economy is the first issue.
Yeah.
This about fixing this. How you can fight anyway if you don't have any money anymore? You're in a debt like. So, I don't know.
That's why the moderator keeps asking for the numbers, and they don't have the numbers. But I like how he put that.
Listen. It's of course how you can give any numbers. You
of course.
Crucify it for that later, but
of course.
It's just impossible. But anyway, I like that at least that guy. How his name? Bernie.
Bernie.
Yes, but I vote for Trump. But Bernie looks sounds for me as really like a thoroughly guy who really cares.
Yeah, it comes across as genuine because he's not coming off like he's Rubio, just going down the list of the things he needs to make the points that he needs to make.
He does have that. He's very passionate about his issues. That's a good thing to have. But what do you think, Juan, about women's equality and so on and so forth? You have any take on it? You can pass if you don't want to speak about it also.
Yes, I like to open about how we just started the video, and it started with the whole, if women don't vote for Hillary, they're going to go to hell, right? Shouldn't the first thing that Clinton should have said was, if women don't vote for me, they won't go to hell? Right? Hello?
Yeah, the line from 7.
Yeah, they're just refreshing real quick. We'll be right back.
Well, just a minute. It's some technical.
Had a little technical, but we're back now. Okay, what were you saying, Juan? She should have said
that regardless of how they vote, that's not going to affect whether they go to heaven or hell. That's sort of the same thing as saying, if you don't pay in mass, then you're not going to go to heaven.
That's true.
Well, that's also a pressure to put. That's pressure to put on women too. That's really the strategy for that. But what do you think, Wes? What can you?
They mention every month.
What do you make of women rights? Like or equality? What's your take on it, if any at all?
Equal rights, equal fights.
Very well. How about you, Kevin? You seem to be very passionate about this. Well, what's your take on this?
I mean, equal. I feel the same way as Wes. In a perfect world, everything would just be you're human, I'm human, whatever. Like that's what I feel like. If a girl can do it, a guy can do it. If a guy can do it, a girl can do it. With limitations, obviously. Like I can't give birth, but like you get what I'm saying.
How about you, Siobhan? By being the only woman here, I'd like to get your 2 cents.
But I was gonna say that I liked how both of them actually answered the questions, but I did side with Bernie because he didn't make it like gender exclusive. He's like, when it came to paid family time off, he didn't say that should just be allotted to women. He's like, paid family time off should be given to both men and women, because it's not the father and the mother are in this together. So if you're gonna give time off for a mother, you should probably give off for a father as well.
Okay, that seems to be.
I think some companies already do that too. I know Netflix does that. I think Google does that too. So it's getting there. It's getting into the streamline of things. But
I think Coke does that.
It's creeping up. Let's check.
I'm curious what companies don't do that.
Like Walmart, pretty sure doesn't do it.
I mean, but at the same time, everybody comes in at the same equal pay at Walmart. Like it's Walmart. What can you really expect from Walmart?
Yeah, that's true.
But they're a big company, so you do kind of expect.
Yeah, they do have a whole lot of revenue. They make a whole lot of money. It's a tough issue, and then again, this goes back into private business and so forth and so on.
That's what it is. Walmart is a prison. Do you realize that literally?
I saw a documentary on that. Yeah.
You know, people that work at Walmart literally are like 80% of them are on welfare, and then the welfare that they are on, they use it at Walmart. So literally, Walmart is paying their employees to use the money from the government to buy their own stuff. So in essence, they just get money up the ass. Like
that's unfortunate.
In a society where everybody has their mind on right, we wouldn't even shop at Walmart. Therefore, Walmart wouldn't exist.
That's true. That's true. You're very right.
Wait, why would we not shop at Walmart when they have like these amazing prices?
Well, see, no, that's a loose.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's a loose mentality.
Example. Perfect example.
I'm not being funny, but I'm trying to get you to explain it.
But that's a real mentality, though. That's a real thing. People really, take up on that. But go ahead, finish your thought, Wes.
No, but I was just saying, in the right society where everybody understands how it operates, if we didn't shop at Walmart, Walmart wouldn't have an option to be able to treat people like that. They would have no choice but to change or go out of business.
You know how many people would be unemployed if they were not able to work at Walmart? It's not really benefiting them in the long run by working at Walmart, but it's helping them momentarily at least.
It's not necessarily people would be unemployed because they wouldn't work at Walmart. Walmart wouldn't exist because we wouldn't give them our money. Therefore, something else would be in place of Walmart.
Okay, what would be in place?
Whatever entrepreneur wants to step up and replace that would be there.
Anybody watching us who's really want to throw money into this in the vast of the internet meerkat periscope, please let us know to come up big.
I've come to terms with living in this life, but there are just people in this world that just want to live. They don't want to make a change. They just literally just want to live their life.
Exist.
So like not everybody has that mindset, you know. So unfortunately, we're a minority in a sense. When we want to make these positive moves and want to make these moves, and until the majority catches on, we're just gonna have to keep on voicing our opinions, voicing your thoughts, so that it resonates with the right person who can cause that momentum change. You get what I'm saying?
And then Al Sharpton will show up and be the face of the movement.
And then Wes will leave the room when that happens.
and that will be that. I see you, Jonah. You're still trying to get back in, but let's check into the debate. Let's see what Clinton is talking about.
Much more information about what must be done to fix our criminal justice system. We now have some good models about how better to provide employment, housing, and education. So I think what President Obama did was to exemplify the importance of this issue as our first African-American president, and to address it both from the president's office and through his advocacy, such as working with young men and Mrs. Obama's work with young women. But we can't rest. We have work to do, and we now know a lot more than we ever did before. So it's going to be my responsibility to make sure we move forward to solve these problems that are now out in the open. Nobody can deny them. To use the Justice Department, as we just saw, where they have said they're going to sue Ferguson, that entered into a consent agreement and then tried to back out. So we're going to enforce the law. We're going to change policing practices. We're going to change incarceration practices, but we're also going to emphasize education, jobs, and housing.
Senator Sanders.
I want to know what Sanders says about this.
What has to be appreciated.
This is critical.
Is that as a result of the disastrous and illegal behavior on Wall Street, millions of lives were hurt. People lost their jobs, their homes, their life savings. Turns out that the African American community and the Latino community were hit especially hard. As I understand it, the African American community lost half of their wealth as a result of the Wall Street collapse. So when you have childhood African American poverty rates of 35%, when you have youth unemployment at 51%, when you have unbelievable rates of incarceration, which, by the way, leaves the children back home without a dad or even a mother, clearly we are looking at institutional racism. We are looking at an economy in which the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And sadly, in America today, in our economy, a whole lot of those poor people are African American.
So race relations would be better under a Sanders presidency than they've been.
Right, absolutely. Because what we will do is say, instead of giving tax breaks to billionaires, we are going to create millions of jobs for low-income kids so they're not hanging out on street corners. We're going to make sure that those kids stay in school or are able to get a college education. And I think when you give low-income kids, African-American, white, Latino kids, the opportunities to get their lives together, they are not going to end up in jail. They're going to end up in the productive economy, which is where we want them.
Let me turn this on its head. Because when we talk about race in this country, we always talk about African Americans, people of color. I want to talk about white people. Okay? No, I know. So, many people would be surprised to find out that we are sitting in one of the most racially polarized metropolitan areas in the country. By the middle of the century, the nation is going to be majority non-white. Our public schools are already there. If working class white Americans are about to be outnumbered, are already underemployed in many cases, and one study found they are dying sooner, don't they have a reason to be resentful, Secretary Clinton?
Look, I am deeply concerned about what's happening in every community in America, and that includes white communities where we are seeing an increase in alcoholism, addiction, earlier deaths. People with a high school education or less are not even living as long as their parents lived. This is a remarkable and horrifying fact. And that's why I've come forward with, for example, a plan to revitalize coal country, the coal field communities that have been so hard hit by the changing economy, by the reduction in the use of coal. You know, coal miners and their families who helped turn on the lights and power our factories for generations are now wondering, has our country forgotten us? Do people not care about all of our sacrifice? And I'm going to do everything I can to address distressed communities, whether they are communities of color, whether they are white communities, whether they are in any part of our country. I particularly appreciate the proposal that Congressman Jim Clyburn has, the 10-20-30 proposal, to try to spend more federal dollars in communities with persistent generational poverty. And you know what? If you look at the numbers, there are actually as many, if not more, white communities that are truly being left behind and left out. So yes, I do think it would be a terrible oversight not to try to address the very real problems that white Americans, particularly those without a lot of education, whose jobs have no longer provided them or even no longer present in their communities, because we have to focus where the real hurt is. And that's why, as president, I will look at communities that need special help and try to deliver that.
Senator, I want you to respond to that, but I also want you to am I wrong? Is it even right to be describing this as a matter of race?
Yeah, you can. Because African Americans, Latinos, not only face the general economic crises of low wages and high unemployment and poor educational opportunities, but they face other problems as well. So yes, we can talk about it as a racial issue, but it is a general economic issue. And here's what the economic issue is. The wages that high school graduates receive today are significantly less, whether you're white or black, than they used to be. Why is that? Because of a series of disastrous trade policies which have allowed corporate America, through NAFTA and permanent normal trade relations with China. Secretary Clinton and I disagree on those issues. But my view is those trade policies have enabled corporate America to shut down in this country, throw millions of people out on the street. Now, no one thinks that working in a factory is the greatest job in the world. But you know what? You can make a middle-class wage. You have decent health care, decent benefits. You once had a pension. Those jobs, in many cases, are now gone. They're off to China. Now, you are a worker, white worker, black worker, who had a decent job. That manufacturing job has got, what do you got now? You working in McDonald's? That is why there is massive despair all over this country. People have worked their entire lives. They're making a half, 2/3 what they used to make. Their kids are having a hard time finding any work at all. And that's why this study, which shows that if you can believe it today, for white working class people between 45 and 54, life expectancy is actually going down. Suicide, alcoholism, drugs. That's why we need to start paying attention to the needs of working families in this country, and not just a handful of billionaires who have enormous economic and political power.
Thank you.
Wait, Kevin. We're gonna pause it now. And
yes, go ahead, Kevin.
What were you saying, Kevin?
what I noticed with the reaction from the crowd, it's like when Bernie speaks, people react right away, but with Hillary, it's like they wait for people to like if they should clap or not, and then start clapping.
They're like, let's see, and then they go ahead and jump in.
Now, it's a personal perception.
Hey.
No, I think, you know.
My favorite is Trump.
That's why we're gonna mute Kirill. He's not gonna be able to talk. My thing about wages is it really a working person issue as opposed to a racial issue? Because he was saying that the decline, people are now killing themselves in the white community.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still trying to understand how that's a thing. He did mention drugs, and drugs affect everyone, but maybe I'm just naive to the fact that there are like white people problems.
Let me pose
No, yes, there is. Yes, there is.
Like trailer parks, like have you been there?
What you think?
Like people experience poverty in all.
Of course.
So it's not like when I say like racial stuff, I mean like in the sense of statistics. Like if there's no correlation between whites or blacks smoking weed, and there's more blacks in jail than whites, that's a problem. That's obviously a racial issue. So in this issue, I think it's more of like an economical situation, because if there's no education in the schools and the community is not being uplifted with like money, like of course you're gonna get crummy jobs. Of course you're gonna be angry having to live paycheck to paycheck.
Right, but I'm saying it as though he was talking about like factory workers and how their jobs are being taken away from them, and that's when he started mentioning the white community. So
Yeah,
like,
because
if factory workers can make a middle class life, then what problems do they have?
I think because those industries are like coal and energy type industries are more, the majority are like white.
Of course.
Like,
but if they can make a middle class living, then what's the problem?
Their jobs are gone.
They could. He says they're not at this point. But
their jobs are gone.
They're gone.
Go ahead, Juan. See. Say whatever.
Yes, well, I think I can put in something that basically we have the jobs, but they're getting worse, and people are feeling too much despair that they're losing hope, and therefore going with all these negative consequences, such as alcoholism and suicide.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
let me ask you
more scarier than a person with nothing to lose.
What do you think, Wes?
Let me ask you this. If y'all were to take money from people who have money and give it to people who don't have money,
I'll take it.
How can that help? Because you really haven't figured out a way to create the money. You're only going to spend the money. And if you're going to give it to people with drug problems and alcohol problems, they're going to kill themselves so fast. It's crazy.
But then again, right now,
what good would that do? That ain't going to do nothing but boost the economy in such a way that it's going to create even more billionaires amongst the billionaires. Because if you take their money, give it to the people who's already consuming nothing that's producing them any kind of wealth, it's going straight back to the people they took it from, to be taxed again, which goes back to what I was saying. The government is going to grow by 50%.
Who said that? Did somebody make that point where take the money from the bigger guys and give them to the smaller guys?
That's Bernie's whole scheme.
Yeah,
what he was saying to tax the wealthy.
To me, from what I've heard,
not only does he want to tax the wealthy, he wants to tax the corporations.
Yeah,
he wants to tax companies twice. Listen, this is he wants to triple tax people. First of all, he wants to tax you at an 8.6% rate, higher than already Obamacare is.
Why not? Healthcare and free public education. That doesn't come out of nowhere.
Well, like, isn't
okay? How about this?
Free already? Public education. Don't we go to school like public education? Now that's another thing. Like, think about this. Like free college. Really think about it. Free college? Are you guys really serious? Like free college? I would love to have free college and go there for free, but free college? I think there's a trick behind it. I think the IRS.
I think that's done it for decades.
I'm selfish.
I think at the end of the there won't be such thing as a free college, and I'll let you speak on what I don't think there'll be such a thing as a free college. Like that's how they make their money. That's how that thing is so big. And I think at the end of the day, if Bernie becomes president and he wants to give free college, there will be some other way that they can that they can tax them. Like I think like IRS is gonna just really take him into the chin.
And Yana says, realistically, nothing is free. Ultimately, we pay for everything with tax dollars. One time for Yana.
Go ahead,
Wes. Pose this right quick. Let's think about supply, just simple supply and demand.
Okay.
If everybody is taught how to get a job, who is there to create them? That is the problem we're having in America. Nobody is taught how to create opportunities for other people. And by like I said, again, if you want to tax the people with the money and with the corporations and give it to the people who aren't doing anything as of right now with the little bit they have to further grow their knowledge and build their wealth, it's only going to go back to those people to be taxed again and go back to the government. That's why the government under Sanders or Clinton will grow by 50 to 60%. Then you'll have everybody in the wagon and the horse will die. That is the problem I'm having with
that. You are really foretelling a depression, aren't you?
It's coming. Listen, it's coming regardless of if you want to close your eyes or not. It's coming.
The depression is coming regardless. It has to happen. We've been really, like, technically it has to happen because of the way we've been spending money and the way that we've been allocating and in debt. Like, it's going to happen. We just need to be prepared for it and just be ready, because I feel like the government that we see now and the way it operates is going to be different in the next 10 years. Honestly, it's going to be way different.
Well, let's all be ready for it. Let's see what happens. Now let's.
What are we even talking? Let's all be ready for it. I mean, accept that and then move on.
If you guys are so set on in this whole another economic crash happening, well, let's be ready for it. Let's I mean, in the sense of, like, I don't think a crisis like that will happen again to that extreme, to like the Great Depression, like how people might like to compare it to. But I'm saying in the sense of, like, if that's the case, if you think that's going to happen, then be really cautious whether you buy a house pretty soon and things like that. Like, if you could take some steps into that not affect you in a hard way, then by all means do it. And thank you, Jonah, for sharing. You know,
so that's what China has right, in a sense. They invest in their people. They invest in schools. They invest in, like, all this stuff.
Yeah, education and opportunity, but they're also overpopulated and large part of them are in poverty.
When you literally, like, help, like, your countrymen, like, become smarter people.
China cares only about itself. China doesn't invest in any people. China has very huge problem with disparity between the vast majority of the population is poor, like
I just said that,
like ants, I don't know. So
they are smarter.
China really invests in railways, in trains, in roads. You can arrive in other sizes, like very small city, like several million people. But for China, it's small. It's small. It has built new airport. It has a high-tech new built airport. And so they really invest in this stuff. They really accumulated a lot of resources in order to be prepared if the growth outside will slow down. They can at least reallocate that money for internal infrastructure.
Yeah.
So
they're looking at, like, the international appeal as opposed to actually helping the people there.
They do very smart things, but they have a lot of troubles inside the country. China, it's very complicated.
Yeah. I feel like the only thing we can look at them for besides education is technology, because they have the disparity, like you said, between those who are poor and rich. It's like
it's a big gap. Yeah. Let's check back into the debate, see what we're talking about, and then we'll bring the conversation back here. And thank you guys for sharing your opinion, and thank you, Jonah, for still trying to get through. Just keep trying, and then we'll talk to you soon.
We'll pay more in taxes, but a great nation like ours should not be in a position where elderly people are cutting their pills in half, where they don't have decent nutrition, where they can't heat their homes in the wintertime. That is not what America should be about. If elected president, I will do everything I can to expand Social Security benefit, not just for seniors, but for disabled veterans as well.
I I think it's fair to say we don't have a disagreement. We both believe there has to be more money going into the Social Security system. I've said I'm looking at a couple of different ways. One, which you mentioned, Senator, but also trying to expand the existing tax to passive income that wealthy people have, so that we do get more revenue into the Social Security Trust Fund. I have a slightly different approach, though, about what we should do with that initially. First, rather than expand benefits for everyone, I do want to take care of low-income seniors who worked at low-wage jobs. I want to take care of women. When the Social Security program was started in the 1930s, not very many women worked, and women have been disadvantaged ever since. They do not get any credit for their caretaking responsibilities, and the people who are often the most hard hit are widows, because when their spouse dies, they can lose up to 1/2 of their Social Security monthly payment. So we have no disagreement about the need to buttress Social Security, get more revenue into the program, but I want to start by helping those people who are most at risk, the ones who, yes, are cutting their pills in half, who don't believe they can make the rent, who are worried about what comes next for them.
In all due respect, Secretary Clinton, a lot of the progressive groups, the online groups, have really asked you a simple question. Are you coming on board a proposal? And what is that proposal? Now, the proposal that I've outlined, should be familiar to you, because it is what essentially Barack Obama campaigned on in 2008. You opposed them then. I would hope that you would come on board and say that this is the simple and straightforward thing to do. We're asking the top 1.5%, including passive income, to start paying a little bit more so that the elderly and disabled vets in this country can live with security and dignity. I hope you will make a decision soon on this.
Look, I think we're in vigorous agreement here. We both want to get more revenue in. I have yet to see a proposal that you're describing that raising the cap would apply to passive income. That has not been a part of most of the proposals that I've seen. I'm interested in making sure we get the maximum amount of revenue from those who can well afford to provide it. So I'm going to come up with the best way forward. We're going to end up in the same place. We're going to get more revenue. I'm going to prioritize those recipients who need the most help first.
We're going to move on. Secretary Clinton, your campaign has recently ramped up criticism of Senator Sanders for attending Democratic Party fundraisers from which you say he benefited. But nearly half of your financial sector donations appear to come from just two wealthy financiers, George Soros and Donald Sussman, for a total of about $10 million. You have said that there's no quid pro quo involved. But is that also true of the donations that wealthy Republicans give to Republican candidates, contributors including the Koch brothers?
I can't speak for the Koch brothers. You're referring to a super PAC that we don't coordinate with, that was set up to support President Obama, that has now decided they want to support me. They are the ones who should respond to any questions. Let's talk about our campaigns. I'm very proud of the fact that we have more than 750,000 donors. And the vast majority of them are giving small contributions. So I'm proud of Senator Sanders and his supporters. I think it's great that Senator Sanders, President Obama, and I have more donors than any three people who have ever run, and certainly on the Democratic side. That's the way it should be. And I'm going to continue to reach out to thank all my online contributors for everything they are doing for me, to encourage them to help me and do more, just as Senator Sanders is. And I think that is the real key here. We both have a lot of small donors. I think that sets us apart from a lot of what's happening on the Republican side. Brothers have a very clear political agenda. It is an agenda, in my view, that would do great harm to our country.
He's going to get her together real
quick. We're going to fight it as hard as we can, and we're going to fight whoever the Republicans nominate, who will be very dependent upon the Koch brothers and others.
She just proved that she works for the government.
I'm asking if Democratic donors are different from Republican donors.
What we are talking about in reality is a corrupt campaign finance system. That's what we're talking about. We have to be honest about it. And it is undermining American democracy. When extraordinarily wealthy people make very large contributions to super PACs, and in many cases in this campaign, super PACs have more money, have raised more money than individual candidates.
You know, that's
we had a decision to make early on. Do we do a super PAC? And we said, no, we don't represent Wall Street. We don't represent the billionaire class. So it ends up, I'm the only candidate up here of the many candidates who has no super PAC. But what we did is we said to the working families of this country, look, we know things are tough, but if you want to help us, go beyond establishment politics and establishment economics, send us something. And it turned out that up until this point, and this has blown me away, never in a million years would I have believed that I'd be standing here tonight telling you that we have received 3.5 million individual contributions from well over 1 million people. Now, Secretary Clinton's super PAC, as I understand it, received $25 million last reporting period, $15 million from Wall Street. Our average contribution is $27. I'm very proud of that.
Senator
Sanders, are you saying mixing apples and oranges? My 750,000 donors have contributed more than 1.5 million donations. I'm very proud. That, I think, between the two of us demonstrates the strength of the support we have among people who want to see change in our country. But the real issue that I think the senator is injecting into this is that if you had a super PAC like President Obama had, which now says it wants to bring enemies, not my PAC, if you take donations from Wall Street, you can't be independent. I would just say, I debated then Senator Obama numerous times on stages like this.
She's not looking into the camera like she used to.
He was the recipient of the largest number of Wall Street donations of anybody running on the Democratic side.
He wants to bite his tongue right now.
When it mattered, he stood up and took on Wall Street. He pushed through and he passed the Dodd-Frank regulation, the toughest regulations since the 1930s. So let's not in any way imply here that either President Obama or myself would in any way not take on any vested interest, whether it's Wall Street or drug companies or insurance companies or frankly the gun lobby, to stand up to do what's best for the American people.
Let's not insult the intelligence of the American people. Why in God's name?
Yes,
make huge campaign contributions. I guess just for the fun of it, they want to throw money around. Why does the pharmaceutical industry make huge campaign contributions? Any connection maybe to the fact that our people pay the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs? Why does the fossil fuel industry spend huge amounts of money on campaign contributions? Any connection to the fact that not one Republican candidate for president thinks and agrees with the scientific community that climate change is real and that we have got to transform our energy system? And when we talk about Wall Street, let's talk about Wall Street. I voted for Dodd-Frank, got an important amendment in it. My view, it doesn't go anywhere near far enough. But when we talk about Wall Street, you have Wall Street and major banks have paid $200 billion in fines since the great crash. No Wall Street executive has been prosecuted.
All right, well, let's just follow up on this because, you know, I've made it very clear
I'm gonna have to
that
stop talking.
no bank is too big to fail, no executive too powerful to jail, and because of Dodd-Frank, we now have in law a process that the president, the Federal Reserve, and others can use if any bank poses a systemic risk. I think that's a major accomplishment. I agree, however, it doesn't go far enough because what it focuses on are the big banks, which Senator Sanders has talked about a lot for good reason. I go further in the plan that I've proposed, which has been called the toughest, most effective, comprehensive plan for reining in the other risks that the financial system could face. It was an investment bank, Lehman Brothers, that contributed to our collapse. It was a big insurance company, AIG. It was Countrywide Mortgage. My plan would sweep all of them into a regulatory framework so we can try to get ahead of what the next problems might be. And I believe that not only Barney Frank, Paul Krugman, and others have said that what I have proposed is the most effective. It goes in the right direction. We have Dodd-Frank. We can use it to break up the banks if that's appropriate. Let's not kid ourselves. As we speak, there are new problems on the horizon. I want to get ahead of those, and that's why I proposed a much more comprehensive approach to deal with all of the grace. One second. We're talking about this.
Just go back and forth with Secretary Clinton here.
What is it saying?
When you have 3 out of the 4 largest financial institutions in this country bigger today than they were when we bailed them out because they were too big to fail. When you have 6 financial institutions having assets equivalent to 58% of the GDP of America, by issuing 2/3 of the credit cards and 1/3 of the mortgages. Look, I think if Teddy Roosevelt were alive today, that great trust buster would have said, break them up. I think he would have been right. I think he would have said, bring back a 21st century Glass-Steagall legislation. I think that would have been right as well. That's my view.
Thank you both. It is time for a break, and when we come back, we're going to turn to some new topics, including how these candidates will keep America safe. There's a lot more to come in just a few minutes. Stay with us for more of the PBS NewsHour Democratic Debate.
This topic coming up, are pretty interesting. I think they about to talk about what's ISIS and the Middle East. I think that's always what to talk about. But going back into the super PACs, what do you guys take on super PACs and how much money these people have on their campaign?
What exactly is a super PAC, Pedro?
Political action committee.
A super PAC is just like a bunch of pretty much summarizes like this bunch of money being thrown into this
biggest businesses
into this political party, but this person in return for like quote unquote favors kind of thing. Like I give you, let's say, I could give you $15 million if you say that I give it to you, and then behind doors is like, well, you give me whatever laws get passed in whatever states. It really goes into details when it comes to it.
Wait, is the super PAC isn't it like the committee who raises the money for them and then they distribute it throughout the campaign?
See, yeah, but that has a lot to do. Let's say if a bank pretty much goes up to you and Kevin says, I give you $15 million if you become a president, I want you to pass this law in this state. Like that has to be pushed kind of thing. Those are what the super PAC are about, and that's pretty much what Hillary Clinton had got it going on, and it's against it.
But the point is what he's trying to make is that the super PAC, even though it's the committee that heads all of these, seeks the people to give the funds for the campaign, they are reaching out to these big companies or big America to fund these candidates, and they want some kind of
you always want something in return.
You always want something. Yeah, you always want something in return.
The puppet masters.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's difficult, to look at it in that regard. And again, like I don't have a corporation to give $15 million to a candidate so they can speak on my issues or push this or push that. But that's where we are, and then I see Bernie Sanders' approach with this whole donate, like $1, whatever you can kind of thing. Just something it's good And
I mean, that's to be appreciated that you have
for sure.
donate $27 and you can come up with this big amount of money. But when you think about it, politics are politics. So you need money and you're going to accept it from anywhere you can get it from, to be honest. And the fact that Hillary, it sucks that it came from Big America for Hillary, and it sucks that it got out that she had so many contributions from Big America. But it is what it is. She needs these advertisements. She needs these travel funds. She needs all these people to be paid for that are helping her with her campaign. So what you really want her to do? She can't give the money back.
Listen, if she needs money, it will be good to take it from El Chapo.
Okay. All right. Anything else you'd like to contribute, Kirill?
Do you know ISIS?
What do you think? What do you think, Wes? What's your take on super PACs and what we heard about this debate so far?
I mean, really, we really can't do anything about the super PACs because those are, like I said, those are the puppet masters. You will never know who put those funds together. But what I really don't like is how they keep attacking Wall Street as if Wall Street did something. They want to talk about credit cards and bad mortgages, but y'all forget, people had to go to the bank. People had to go to the bank and apply for these bad mortgages. No, they don't have any money. People had to go apply for these credit cards. No, they didn't have any money. People put their money in the 401ks, 403bs, SCPs, IRAs, Roth IRAs, and then they just do nothing but invest in mutual funds, which go straight to Wall Street. So to attack Wall Street as if the American public is also brilliant and they're like, oh man, you took my money. No, the problem is the American public is oblivious to the fact of what really goes on and how to invest in themselves. You give your money away, what do you expect? And it's just bothering me that they think that we can tax Wall Street and it's all good.
Yeah, Coach Dupree on Meerkat says, I'm not kidding, Maddie.
Hey, at the end of the day, when you invest, it's not a guaranteed return either. It has some level of, you can lose also.
And I get confused when people say well, Wall Street, they're really the business people. They know how to make money and stuff like that. But you have to keep in mind that these people help structure the laws and the loopholes that they're able to loop around to be able to file for bankruptcy, corporate bankruptcy, 90% of Wall Street. And they do. People use that as a big example for Trump. Trump he knows how to raise money, but Trump knows how. They're businessmen. They know how to work around the loopholes that they help structure. We're like rats in a maze that they construct, and they construct it in a way that we have to take that path. They set it up in a way where the path that seems the best, if you're not knowledgeable, as you stated, because of course, if you're not knowledgeable in these things, you're not going to know.
But you just explained why taxing Wall Street will not work, because they are so much smarter than the system that they will hire lawyers. They will spend how much of the money they have to spend on lawyers and still have boatloads of money left over to do whatever they please.
That's anything like that. That's what we're saying. That's what Bernie's trying to end. He wants to start regulating these companies. He wants to start regulating that.
But listen. Okay, again, I'm gonna explain it to you. See what Wall Street is. Wall Street is the American corporation.
I see you now.
Wall Street are our American corporations. So when you start to attack them and you start to tax them, your 401ks and all the retirement plans that people are holding, they will stop making returns on them. You want to tax them even further, guess what? They are going to disappear. And guess what? The corporations will still survive. The most money on Wall Street is the American people's money. It has nothing to do with the Lehman Brothers. Yes, everybody gave Lehman Brothers their money to invest, and they lost it. So what? That's a part of the game. But when you want to hit them so hard that everything is going to be taken away, that's a very big problem. Huge problem. That's all I'm gonna say on that.
Juan, do you want to say something about Wall Street or super PACs?
One extreme to another. It's either this or that, and time doesn't work like that. Things need to be put in place, and time needs to take an effect so that it's shown that it could work or could not work.
Juan, do you want to say something? You want to throw your hat in the mix?
Time is the reason why Wall Street's able to be in the place that it is right now, because it set up the structure beforehand, and because people played into it. Now they're aware of it. It's too late now. The game's already been set. You just have to finish out and see who wins at the end, so we can start a new game.
Jonah, can you hear us?
I think she's frozen.
Yeah, I think she's frozen as well. Let's try to go back to the debate.
Wait, Juan, did you want to say anything?
No, I was just yawning.
Okay.
Let's try to go back into the debate. I think they were about to talk about security and international policy. Let's see what's up.
According to exit polls from earlier this week, more than 2/3 of Democrats in New Hampshire are concerned about sending their children to fight in wars they can't win. They fret that the next attack is just around the corner and we are not ready. Are we?
Look, I think we are readier than we used to be, but it's a constant effort that has to be undertaken to make sure we are as ready as we need to be.
Good old American education.
We have made a lot of improvements in our domestic security since 9/11, and we have been able to foil and prevent attacks, yet we see the terrible attack in San Bernardino and know that we haven't done enough. So we have to go after this both abroad and at home. We have to go after terrorist networks, predominantly ISIS. That's not the only one, but let's focus on that for a minute. We have to lead a coalition that will take back territory from ISIS. That is principally an American-led air campaign that we are now engaged in. We have to support the fighters on the ground, principally the Arabs and the Kurds, who are willing to stand up and take territory back from Raqqa to Ramadi. We have to continue to work with the Iraqi army so that they are better prepared to advance on some of the other strongholds inside Iraq, like Mosul, when they are able to do so. And we have to cut off the flow of foreign funding and foreign fighters, and we have to take on ISIS online. They are a sophisticated purveyor of propaganda, a celebrator of violence, an instigator of attacks using their online presence. Here at home, we've got to do a better job coordinating between federal, state, and local law enforcement. We need the best possible intelligence, not only from our own sources, but from sources overseas that can be a real-time fusion effort to get information where it's needed. But the final thing I want to say about this is the following. You know, after 9/11, one of the efforts that we did in New York was if you see something or hear something suspicious, report it. And we need to do that throughout the country, but we need to understand that American Muslims are on the front line of our defense. They are more likely to know what's happening in their families and their communities, and they need to feel not just invited, but welcomed within the American society. So when somebody like Donald Trump and others stirs up the demagoguery against American Muslims, that hurts us at home. It's not only offensive, it's dangerous. And the same goes for overseas, where we have to put together a coalition of Muslim nations. I know how to do that. I put together the coalition that imposed sanctions in Iran that got us to the negotiating table to put a lid on their nuclear weapons program. And you don't go tell Muslim nations you want them to be part of a coalition when you have a leading candidate for president of the United States who insults their religion. So this has to be looked at overall, and we have to go at it from every possible angle. Senator Sanders, what is
let me just say this.
Say it.
What a president of the United States has got to do, and what is his or her major, I think, responsibility, is to A, make certain that we keep our people safe, that we work with allies around the world to protect democratic values, that we do all that we can to create a world of peace and prosperity. I voted against the war in Iraq because I listened very carefully to what President Bush and Vice President Cheney had to say, and I didn't believe them. And if you go to my website, berniesanders.com, what you find is not only that I helped lead the opposition to that war, but much of what I feared would happen, what I spoke on the floor of the House, in fact, did happen in terms of the instability that occurred. Now, I think an area in kind of a vague way, well, not so vague, where Secretary Clinton and I disagree, is the area of regime change. Look, the truth is that a powerful nation like the United States, certainly working with our allies, we can overthrow dictators all over the world. And God only knows Saddam Hussein was a brutal dictator. We could overthrow Assad tomorrow if we wanted to. We got rid of Gaddafi. But the point about foreign policy is not just to know that you can overthrow a terrible dictator. It's to understand what happens the day after. And in Libya, for example, the United States, Secretary Clinton, as Secretary of State, working with some other countries, did get rid of a terrible dictator named Gaddafi. But what happened is a political vacuum developed. ISIS came in and now occupies significant territory in Libya.
Same for you, Coach.
And is now prepared, unless we stop them, to have a terrorist foothold. But this is nothing new. This has gone on 50 or 60 years, where the United States has been involved in overthrowing governments. Mossadegh back in 1953. Nobody knows who Mossadegh was. Democratically elected Prime Minister of Iran. He was overthrown by British and American interest because he threatened oil interest of the British. And as a result of that, the Shah of Iran came in, terrible dictator. As a result of that, you had the Iranian Revolution coming in, and that's where we are today. Unintended consequences. So I believe, as president, I will look very carefully about unintended consequences. I will do everything I can to make certain that the United States and our brave men and women in the military do not get bogged down in perpetual warfare in the Middle East.
If I could just
I understand that these questions have to be posed, but does this mean that they feel like
Senator Sanders voted in 1998 on what I think is fair to call a regime change resolution with respect to Iraq, calling for the end of Saddam Hussein's regime. He voted in favor of regime change with Libya, voted in favor of the Security Council being an active participant in setting the parameters for what we would do, which of course we followed through on. I do not believe a vote in 2002 is a plan to defeat ISIS in 2016. It's very important we focus on the threats we face today and that we understand the complicated and dangerous world we're in. When people go to vote in primaries or caucuses, they are voting not only for the president, they are voting for the commander-in-chief. And it's important that people really look hard at what the threats and dangers we face are and who is best prepared for dealing with them. As we all remember, Senator Obama, when he ran against me, was against the war in Iraq. And yet, when he won, he turned to me, trusting my judgment, my experience, to become Secretary of State. I was very honored to be asked to do that and very honored to serve with him those first 4 years.
Judy, if I can.
Yes, you can.
There is no question, and Secretary Clinton and I are friends, and I have a lot of respect for her, that she has enormous experience in foreign affairs. Secretary of State for 4 years, you got a bit of experience, I would imagine. But judgment matters as well. Judgment matters as well. And she and I looked at the same evidence coming from the Bush administration regarding Iraq. I led the opposition against it. She voted for it. But more important, in terms of this Libya resolution that you've noted before, this was a virtually unanimous consent. Everybody voted for it, wanting to see Libya move toward democracy. Of course, we all wanted to do that. That is very different than talking about specific action for regime change, which I did not support.
You did support a UN Security Council approach, which we did follow up on. And look, I think it's important to look at what the most important counterterrorism judgment of the first 4 years of the Obama administration was, and that was the very difficult decision as to whether or not to advise the president to go after bin Laden. I looked at the evidence. I looked at the intelligence. I got the briefings. I recommended that the president go forward. It was a hard choice. Not all of his top national security advisors agreed with that. And at the end of the day, it was the president's decision. So he had to leave the Situation Room after hearing from the small group advising him, and he had to make that decision. I'm proud that I gave him that advice, and I'm very grateful to the brave Navy SEALs who carried out that mission.
Judy, one area, very briefly.
Final word.
Final word, and we're going to jump back in it because I want to say something about Middle East.
Very profound difference. In the last debate, I believe in her book, very good book, by the way, in her book and in this last debate, she talked about getting the approval or the support or the mentoring of Henry Kissinger. Now, I find it rather amazing because I happen to believe that Henry Kissinger was one of the most destructive secretaries of state in the modern history of this country. I am proud to say that Henry Kissinger is not my friend. I will not take advice from Henry Kissinger. And in fact, Kissinger's actions in Cambodia, when the United States bombed that country, overthrew Prince Sihanouk, created the instability for Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge to come in, who then butchered some 3 million innocent people, one of the worst genocides in the history of the world. So count me in as somebody who will not be listening to Henry Kissinger.
Interesting, and I want to stop here because there's something about us. There was something about America in the Middle East that I want to point out, and I think if the Middle East and all these countries like Afghanistan and Iraq, if those people were living in dictatorship, and why does America has to get involved in terms of why do you gotta take that dictator out? And I totally understand that they have policies that kill their own people, and and they're very extremist policies. But if this is how those people like to live, well then let them. Because on the same token, the whole and then let me get there. Okay, like the whole Saddam Hussein, Gaddafi, they was the one who controlled those people in the terms of like going and trying to blow up everything and so forth and so on. And now, you do have you brought a good point, Kira, which is oil. And I just want to know what you guys think in that regard, the Middle East and what's happening right now, how we got here and how we're moving forward, kind of thing.
All I know is that all of my history classes have taught me that America has been interventionist and a paternalist. We are the people who we want you to look at us as we are the biggest power movers in the world. So because we make the power plays, you should aspire to be like us. And the only way you'll aspire to be like us is if we have a hand in everything. And if it's going to make us some money.
Yeah, well, I feel like look what that got us. What do you think, Juan? You have anything to say regarding the Middle East?
Well, I'd like to say something about the conversation between Sanders and Clinton.
Okay.
Because mostly it seems like that from an outside person point of view that they're saying the same thing. But here's the thing. Sanders actually pointed out one thing that Clinton did not. That if you take out some sort of power, it's going to create a void in which a new one will arise.
Like yeah.
Trump was saying that since 2003.
So,
and I think on the same token, that's something that also Russia is involved with, or Syria and so forth and so on. That's what the Clinton administration doesn't want. Not administration, but like the Clinton ideology doesn't want to happen. She don't want to pull out from the Middle East because, like you said, Juan, somebody who will take over in Russia has been behind the Middle East for quite a while in terms of like getting it. Now, whether it's oil, I can't tell you what it is because I'm not in those meetings, which I wish I was. No, not really. But it's interesting. What do you think on West?
Man, I think they need to handle their own problems because we got our own stuff going on over here, man. Be real with you.
And what were you saying about Trump? You were saying that Trump did what?
Trump been saying if you go in and you disrupt the Middle East as they did, just what had happened, just what he said would happen has happened. Another place has been filled by another terrible regime. But the problem with ISIS that I see is that it's more so an ideology. Like we got things like Periscope and Meerkat nowadays where anybody can get on and communicate with each other. And I've been saying this for a while. America won't rest until ISIS shows up here. But they're gonna show up looking like Billy, Jimmy, Bobby, Jaquan, Raekwon, all of them. There are people out there that are really equipped. They just need to be organized. That's all it is. And so,
about a month ago, they started saying how ISIS now recruits on gaming systems. So this random person playing Call of Duty, they will find a way to talk to you and try to manipulate you in a way that you will become a part of ISIS. I don't know how strong that tactic is.
No, this is not Harry Potter, okay? So.
No, but this is true.
This
is true. I'm saying I don't know how wonderful a tactic it is, but it's
it could be a way for the government to be pushing the whole internet regulation agenda.
That's true. That's true because the government wants to have a hand in everything.
Which, by the way, you brought Harry Potter. They're coming out with an 8th book. Now, to continue on this conversation, now, just picture this scenario. I want everybody to follow me. Everybody's aware that Bernie Sanders is a Jew. He's Jewish.
Okay.
And picture how the relations between Iran, which is a state that is in a full-out blown war, and instead of everybody with the state of Israel and all this other country like Jordan, all the that right now America and like those relationships are like kind of better.
Mm-hmm.
How would that affect that? How would that affect the Middle East by them going up to the U.S. and the leader of the U.S. is someone who they are not? It's someone whose religion they are against for. That's something that
let's put a little fire, a little fuel between Iran and Saudi Arabia. And Iran will forget about Israel. They wouldn't have time for that and resources.
But the thing is, like, Iran...
That's Iran fight.
They don't want...
Hate, but they, more than they hate Israel, they hate Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
Let them eat each other. Let them fight.
Oh, my God.
And have them figured it out? Kind of thing.
But that's not going to happen. We're going to intervene in some way.
Yeah, and my thing is, it's just, I know, I don't know for a fact, but I'm pretty sure it just kills, it burns inside of the people in Iran to deal with somebody who is a Jew, that more or less, it's on their side of Israel. They just have this ideology, unfortunately, that is like that. I don't know how that will affect the U.S. and Iran.
Let's Juan say.
Juan.
All right, this topic right now just came up because Sanders is apparently Jewish. And
definitely, yes. It's all hypothetical in the sense that he will win, but go ahead.
Yes, but I just want to know out of curiosity, were there any prior presidents who were Jewish?
Nope.
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's actually like Bernie Sanders was the first person to win to be in a primary. But no, I don't think there's actually this.
Yeah, Joe Lieberman was the only Jew to be nominated as a vice president. There have been no Jewish presidents.
Just wanted to point that out.
Yeah. So we don't have a course of history to really know. Yeah. But I want to say that foreign dignitaries
why would I want to become president?
Huh?
The Jews already know why do they don't need to become president. That's just extra work.
I want to say that the foreign dignitaries have a goal oriented enough to put religion aside. In that respect, if they're trying to have some kind of mutual understanding. Like, I wouldn't understand how you can if you are talking about oil, and we're gonna meet up and talk about oil. Why does it matter that I'm Jewish? I know this is religious tension, but if we have been elected to represent our countries in this matter, why would we go to something that trivial?
Well, that goes as far as like the World War II and so forth and so on. Mm-hmm. I get that. I feel like we shouldn't get that involved, but they do. They think that. It's the other way around. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Unfortunately, there are people from Israel, Jewish, who doesn't do business with Muslims or Palestine because of just that tension and vice versa. Yeah. That's just the world that we live in. And I want to say hello to Brian. You're joining us. You haven't missed much from the debate, nothing critical, just like what they talked about. They talk about super PACs, Wall Street, women's right, and now they were
elders and how we'll.
Social security. There it is. And,
by the way, Pedro, it's just the play in book form. By the way, just before you get excited.
You Harry Potters. Can we're going back to the debate.
Yeah, let's give it a shot and then.
Just in the world. You sit down and you work with people. You make demands of people. In this case, demanding Iran stop the support of international terrorism.
I'm so mad at you.
I respectfully disagree. I think
We have achieved a great deal with the Iranian nuclear agreement to put a lid on the Iranian nuclear weapons program. That has to be enforced absolutely with consequences for Iran at the slightest deviation from their requirements under the agreement. I do not think we should promise or even look toward normalizing relations because we have a lot of other business to get done with Iran. Yes, they have to stop being the main state sponsor of terrorism. Yes, they have to stop trying to destabilize the Middle East, causing even more chaos. Yes, they've got to get out of Syria. They've got to quit sponsoring Hezbollah and Hamas. They've got to quit trying to ship rockets into Gaza that can be used against Israel. We have a lot of work to do with Iran before we ever say that they could move toward normalized relations with us.
We have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do. But I recall when Secretary Clinton ran against then Senator Obama. She was critical of him for suggesting that maybe you want to talk to Iran, that you want to talk to our enemies. I have no illusion. Of course you're right. Iran is sponsoring terrorism in many parts of the world, destabilizing areas. Everybody knows that. But our goal is, in fact, to try over a period of time to, in fact, deal with our enemies, not just ignore that.
But if we're talking, Senator Sanders, from a debate in 2008, quote what I said. The question was, would you meet with an adversary without conditions? I said no. And in fact, in the Obama administration, we did not meet with anybody without conditions. That is the appropriate approach in order to get the results that you are seeking.
No, I think the idea was that then Senator Obama was wrong for suggesting that it's a good idea to talk to your opponents. It's easy to talk to your friends. It's harder to talk to your enemies. I think we should do both.
Let me move on. You have both mentioned the humanitarian tragedies, which have been an outgrowth in part of what's happened in Syria and in Libya. More than 1 million refugees entered Europe in 2015. Another 76,000 just last month. That's about 2,000 arrivals every day. Nearly 400 people have been lost at sea so far this year, crossing the Mediterranean. And there are reports that 10,000 children are missing. If we are leaders in this world, where should the U.S. be on this? What should the United States be doing, Secretary Clinton?
Well, I was pleased that NATO announced just this week that they're going to start doing patrols in the Mediterranean and the Aegean to try to interdict the smugglers to try to prevent the kind of tragedies that we have seen all too often. Also to try to prevent more refugees from coming to the European Union. And it's especially significant that they are working with both Turkey and Greece in order to do this. With respect to the United States, I think our role in NATO, our support for the EU, as well as our willingness to take refugees so long as they are thoroughly vetted and that we have confidence from intelligence and other sources that they can come to our country, we should be doing our part. And we should back up the recent donors conference to make sure we have made our contribution to try to deal with the enormous cost that these refugees are posing to Turkey and to members of the EU in particular. This is a humanitarian catastrophe. There's no other description of it. So we do, as the United States, have to support our friends, our allies in Europe. We have to stand with them. We have to provide financial support to them. We have to provide the NATO support to back up the mission that is going on, and we have to take properly vetted refugees ourselves.
A couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to go on a congressional delegation, and I went to one of these Turkish refugee camps right on the border of Syria. And what a sad sight that was. Men, women, children forced out of their homes. And Turkey, by the way, did a very decent thing, providing what was reasonable housing and conditions for those people. It seems to me that given our history as a nation that has been a beacon of hope for the oppressed,
thank you, Yana, for staying with us. We understand the connection.
That I very strongly disagree with those Republican candidates who say, you know what, we've got to turn our backs on women and children who left their home with nothing at all. That is not what America is supposed to be about. So I believe that working with Europe, and by the way, you know, you got some very wealthy countries there in that part of the world. You got Kuwait, and you got Qatar, and you got Saudi Arabia. They have a responsibility as well. But I think this is a worldwide, that the entire world needs to come together to deal with this horrific refugee crisis we're seeing from Syria and Afghanistan as well.
And we have a final question from our Facebook family, and it goes to Senator Sanders. It comes from Robert Andrews. He's a 40-year-old stay-at-home dad in Dover, Massachusetts. He says, the world has seen many great leaders in the course of human history. Can you name 2 leaders, one American and one foreign, who would influence your foreign policy decisions? And why do you see them as, why are they influential?
You know, Franklin Delano Roosevelt took the oath of office in 1933 at a time when 25% of the American people were unemployed. Country was in incredible despair. He stood before the American people and he said, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. A profound statement that gave the American people the courage to believe that, yes, we could get out of that terrible depression. And then what he did is redefined the role of government. You know, you had Herbert Hoover before that saying, oh, we're going to only worry about the deficit. So what if mass unemployment exists? So what if children are going hungry? That's not the role of the government. And what FDR said, yeah, it is. That we're going to use all of the resources that we have to create jobs, to build homes, to feed people, to protect the farmers. We are a nation which, if we come together, there is nothing that we could not accomplish. And kind of that's what I see our campaign is about right now. In this particular moment of serious crises, saying to the American people, don't give up on the political process. Don't listen to the Trumps of the world and allowing them to divide us. If we re-engage and get involved, yeah, we can have health care for all people. We can make public colleges and universities tuition-free. We do not have to have massive levels of income and wealth inequality in the same light as a foreign leader. Who is the politics, but not my politics. He's kind of a conservative guy in many respects. But nobody can deny that as a wartime leader, he rallied the British people when they stood virtually alone against the Nazi juggernaut, and rallied them and eventually won an extraordinary victory. Those are 2 leaders that I admire very much.
I certainly agree with FDR for all the reasons Senator Sanders said, and I agree about the role that he played both in war and in peace on the economy and defeating fascism around the world. I would choose Nelson Mandela for his generosity of heart, his understanding of the need for reconciliation. I want to follow up on something having to do with leadership. Today Senator Sanders said that President Obama failed the presidential leadership test. And this is not the first time that he has criticized President Obama.
I mean, she should have just said Jesus.
He's called Christians too. Why don't you pull the Christian vote? Wrote a foreword for a book that basically argued voters should have buyer's remorse when it comes to President Obama's leadership and legacy. And I just couldn't disagree more with those kinds of comments. From my perspective, maybe because I understand what President Obama inherited, not only the worst financial crisis, but the antipathy of the Republicans in Congress. I don't think he gets the credit he deserves for being a president who's got us out of that and has sent us into the future. And
there's more people that like her in the public.
Criticism.
Yeah, she buying her Instagram like this. She buying her swag.
President, I expect from Republicans.
She got a lot of money to use. She can just people wonder about
nomination to succeed. President.
What did you say? say this is only about what?
It is only about to put your people on the right seats.
Yeah, that's true.
It's everything engineered. It's not a question at all.
It's like back. It's like back in the 20s when the theaters used to have clappers. Those are people who will
exactly the same technology.
Or they will
same technology. Yes.
They will boo at the right time, or they will cry at certain times. So they will be everybody will. Oh wow, yes, it's time to clap. Yes, for sure. So.
Oh my God, Jeff, it's time to clap.
Republican obstructionism, we have made enormous progress.
Pedro Alejandro.
But you know what? Last I heard, we lived in a democratic society.
What?
Last I heard, a United States senator had the right to disagree with the president, including a president who's done such an extraordinary job. So I have voiced criticisms. You're right, maybe you haven't. I have. But I think to suggest that I have voiced criticism, this blurb that you talk about, you know what the blurb said? Blurb said that the next president of the United States has got to be aggressive in bringing people in to the political process. That's what I said. That is what I believe. President Obama and I are friends. As you know, he came to Vermont to campaign for me when he was a senator. I have worked for his re-election, his first election, and his re-election. But I think it is really unfair to suggest that I have not been supportive of the president. I have been a strong ally with him on virtually every issue. Do senators have the right to disagree with the president? Have you ever disagreed with the president? Senator, I suspect you may have.
Senator, what I am concerned about is not disagreement on issues, saying that this is what I'd rather do.
That's why
I don't agree with the president on that. Calling the president weak, calling him a disappointment, calling several times that he should have a primary opponent who ran for re-election in 2012. You know, I think that goes further than saying we have our disagreements. As a senator, yes, I was a senator. I understand we can disagree on the path forward, but those kinds of personal assessments and charges are ones that I find
Senator, if you'd like
particularly
to
troubling.
respond to, you may respond to that, but it's time now for closing statements, and you can use your time for closing statements to do that.
One of us
Right, she ain't
ran
playing.
against Barack Obama. I was not that candidate. A lot of interesting issues have come
Really
together.
doing some shade out there.
Let me conclude by just saying this. There is no president, in my view, not Hillary Clinton, not Bernie Sanders, who has the capability or the power to take on Wall Street, large campaign donors, the corporate media, the big money interest in this country alone. This campaign is not just about electing a president. What this campaign is about is creating a process for a political revolution in which millions of Americans, working people who have given up on the political process, they don't think anybody hears their pains or their concerns. Young people, for whom getting involved in politics is as,
It's not too late to join
it's
that
like
thing.
going to the moon. It ain't gonna happen. Low-income people who are not involved in the political process. What this campaign is not only about electing someone who has the most progressive agenda, it is about bringing tens of millions of people together to demand that we have a government that represents all of us and not just the 1% who today have so much economic and political power. Thank you all very much.
Speaking for the little man now.
You know, we agree that we've got to get unaccountable money out of politics. We agree that
Kevin,
Wall Street should never
unaccountable
be
money?
allowed to wreck Main
It's a
Street
corporation,
again.
not
But
unaccountable.
here's the point I want to make tonight. I am not a single issue candidate, and I do not believe we live in a single issue country. I think that a lot of what we have to overcome to break down the barriers that are holding people back, whether it's poison in the water of the children of Flint, or whether it's the poor miners who are being left out and left behind in coal country, or whether it is any other American today who feels somehow put down and oppressed by racism, by sexism, by discrimination against the LGBT community, against the kind of efforts that need to be made to root out all of these barriers. That's what I want to take on. And here in Wisconsin, I want to reiterate, we've got to stand up for unions and working people who have been who are being attacked by ideologues, by demagogues. Yes, does Wall Street and big financial interests, along with drug companies, insurance companies, big oil, all of it have too much influence? You're right. But if we were to stop that tomorrow, we would still have the indifference, the negligence that we saw in Flint. We would still have racism holding people back. We would still have sexism preventing women from getting equal pay. We would still have LGBT people who get married on Saturday and get fired on Monday. And we would still have governors like Scott Walker and others trying to rip out the heart of the middle class by making it impossible to organize and stand up for better wages and working conditions. So I'm going to keep talking about tearing down all the barriers that stand in the way of Americans fulfilling their potential, because I don't think our country can live up to its potential unless we give a chance to every single American to live up to theirs.
Thank you.
We also want to thank our partners at Facebook and our hosts here at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee.
Oh my gosh, it's like you. Oh, yeah. That's so funny. You guys are literally matching with the moderators on the TV.
Yes, we are. Now, I wanna hear the closing statements from our panel, and I want to start by Wes. Do you have any closing statements here? Do you have anything to say? Who do you think you won? Summarize it for us.
Oh, I like that, Pedro. I like that. Everybody
It's okay.
Wes, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Wait,
he's feeling the burn right now.
Give me your closing statements. What do you think you won? What do you make of it? And
listen, I want Bird to win so bad because it's gonna be so easy to mop the floor with him.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
We need our haters.
We need our haters.
We can go and take over. I'm out.
All right. So we got now. Let's go to Brian. Even though you only caught a little bit, what's your closest statement from what you got? And who do you think you won in this short time that you saw it?
Well, I'm not gonna say that. Can you hear me first of all?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, fine. Okay, good. First of all, I don't think any of the candidates on both sides, Republican and Democrats, have the capacity to even go head to head with Obama. And what I mean is, if they're serious about running for president, any candidate right now, why don't they just say it? Why can't they just say that we don't have a space program to uplift the conditions of standards?
Wes, why are you trying it? You're really trying it.
Well, I mean, that's the way you defeat Trump and all the fascist bastards who basically want to take over this country. And also the cowards like Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton, they won't take on Wall Street. They won't take on the British Empire that has killed our society. These are fascists. This is fascism. You might have heard things that were said and stated in that way, but if you really want to consider how to get rid of them, then you have to say that Obama has to be thrown out of office now. He is a criminal, and Bush was too. And so people have to really wake up to that reality. And so by the standard of how courageous someone is, which these candidates are not, they're just sick opportunists. And you just look at the reality of the situation is without a country, without a space program like China is promoting, this country will not exist because there is no mission for anyone to pursue. So you could kiss the ass of all the unions all you want, but they want a future. And so any candidate who doesn't understand that,
there's a grocery eater.
Yeah, they're not qualified to be president. In my opinion, this debate is just like the other debates, where nobody's going to get anything out of it.
Okay.
What I want to hear, Juan, what's your closing statements and what do you think? I mean, you've been with us this whole debate. What
you can go on you can talk about TPP now if you want.
Yes, you can.
Yes. Just like Hillary, she talked about the things that she couldn't talk about. So, hey, by all means, that's your time.
All right. Well, I'm not going to talk about the TPP that much right now because we're focusing on the Democratic candidates right now.
Mm-hmm.
But for my closing
statement, together real quick.
Yeah. Closing statements. Go ahead, Juan.
Yes. Well, I believe in honesty that Bernie Sanders is the more prominent choice, and that for Clinton, she's going to just continue the worst that Obama has done for the country. So, if I had to support one out of the two of them, I would go with Sanders.
Very well.
Give that man 5 more minutes to talk. I like where he's going with this. Give him 5 more minutes.
Anything else you want to plug in? Any Twitter, any Instagram, any Snapchat?
Or anything you felt that was
I want to Instagram stuff, you guys.
In debate, something that you really held on from the debate, something that he said that made you hold on to it.
Well, it's just that the debate, in all honesty, was just like a repeat of what's been going on throughout this entire election, right?
Mm-hmm.
True.
But the thing is that I'm just concerned that the TPP hasn't been raised, that no one has just said the TPP should be a primary issue. I mean, Sanders said it like once or twice, but it should be said more often because it is a deal, which I shouldn't get into right now, but it is one that can destroy the democracy of the United States.
Yeah. I see. Now, let's switch gears to Chris. What do you think? What are your closing statements? What are your thoughts in the debate? What do you take from it? What was something that I didn't talk about that you wanted to be addressed?
Okay, wait a minute. I starting with some from Hungary.
Just horrible.
Kevin,
I stopped already. I don't know what's happening. My hands are up.
Okay.
I only want to say that, Kevin.
Thanks, Mark, on Meerkat.
I like that this debate getting just like more heat and the tensions get more and more.
Yeah.
So it allows to reveal like something that is still covered up maybe. And it's better for just to make some conclusions, and so I don't think it's wasted time.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not. Even a lot of things were just reiterated over and over. But anyway, it's just, so I'm in a positive mode. I don't know.
Okay. I feel like I could have gone without the Facebook questions. Like, they did really nothing for me. Like, okay, this is one from a stay-at-home dad, and maybe you should. No, I really didn't care about his answers to those questions. I really wanted to know what was going to be happening with the healthcare system, and they still kind of glossed over that. So,
am I going to get my closing statement or not?
Wait, give me one. We're not done. It's her time. It's her time.
Research on this now because they didn't help me out. God, Kevin, just always on top. Jesus.
And Jonah, I know you're here with us. If you can type your comments, what do you think? We'll still be here for the next couple minutes. But do you want to continue to what you think about that? Thank you, Kevin. Go ahead, Kevin. What are your closest statements? What are your thoughts?
You guys, I don't want you to get the wrong impression about me.
Just answer the question.
In the perfect, honestly, when it comes to this sphere of politics, I'm for Bernie. But if we're looking to expand our consciousness, it's way above that. I wouldn't vote for any of them, but
realistically, yes.
But as of right now, it would be Bernie. Just going by his stances of what he said, he hasn't proven anything wrong. I mean, he doesn't have a really tainted past when it comes to his politics. Like he's put everything on the floor. On the table, and pretty much laid it all on the line. So it's just anything that from here on out, if he does become president, is what we have to judge him on because he's going to be in office and whatever he does, it's what he does. Hillary has had numerous of times where she's flip-flopped, where she said one thing, took back another, took a check here,
okay.
Everywhere check, mill. So I don't know. Hillary just reminds you of that girl that just won't tell you what it is. She'll just keep leading you on, keep teasing you, and then when push comes to shove at the end, she breaks up with you, and you knew that from the beginning, but you still egged her on. So that's what Hillary is to me. Hillary is just another puppet, Stanford wife, that's going to go ahead and just follow the corporations on what they say and do. But then again, Bernie could be the same way. He could be saying one thing right now and then goes into office and says another thing. That's the thing about politics. You don't know until it comes to that time. So until then, until I'm proven wrong at this point, I'm voting for Bernie.
Was there something in the debate that he said that you held on to?
I just like how he's able to keep up with Hillary. Hillary has a lot of good one-liners that if he had not been able to keep up with her, it would have demolished him.
But it was all over his face, his frustration. Like, oh.
Yeah, and I feel like Bernie is for the people, honestly. Like, people feel a real connection with him when he speaks. Hillary is just...
Why do you disagree,
Kirill, who do you think he won? I didn't catch that.
He saw me in my tracks. I was just like, I can't continue.
What do you want to say, Kirill?
No, I just wanted to say that I disagree regarding that Bernie like a black horse. He is not, because, listen, on this age, already 73, and so with such contribution into this, I don't think that people will go on some significant compromise and just like ruin everything that they were stayed for. So I don't think it's going to happen. But of course, it's just my expectations.
I mean,
okay, wait, Kevin.
The Pope is 79 years old, and he's traveling all around the place, shaking hands, kissing babies. So I don't see why my grandpa Bernie can't be going in the front lines and helping me out. Like, if the Pope can do it, why can't my man Bernie do it?
Well,
give him a chance, man. He just coughed 2 times. He could have. Maybe he swallowed in the wrong hole. Like, damn. It's not because he's old. We cough all the time. I real sneezed a couple times today too. Doesn't mean he's about to kick the bucket.
Pretty suspect. Listen, no, I wanna throw something in there that we didn't talk about. And actually today, this piece of news came out, and it's a federal judge order the release of the emails that the Hillary or Clinton still had, and it's making it like or the whole State Department to release her emails. Now, on February 13, 19, and 26 are the days that she has that she had set up to release this email.
She on the tour, run the tour.
But the thing about this is like the election has created an urgency to complete the work with this email. So, is this going to affect her in the long run? Now, in the sense of she deleted some emails, and apparently they're doing some backup, some checkup, in the hard drive to get the emails.
In the iCloud.
In the cloud. And apparently they're getting the emails now. She said those are just personal and not business. Now imagine if one of the emails are business. It will be a whole mess. And it will be interesting to look at from here on out. And on the same token, there is another debate, the Republican debate this Saturday on the 13th. We here on DINtv will have on several other events happening, like the NBA All-Stars, but we can definitely check back on while we watching it. Now, with that being said, the 20th, February 20th, that's not this Saturday coming up, but the next one, we have the caucuses for Nevada and South Carolina. Those are key, to take a look, those are key places, definitely for minorities. And also, and everybody, I'm telling everybody who's here on the panel, please mark your calendar on March 1st.
Look at you, so smooth.
That's Super Tuesday. We have Alabama, Alaska, Arkansas, Colorado, Georgia, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, Vermont, and Virginia.
Come to dinner every day. We got new things happening every day. Come every day. We talk about all types of different news stuff, and it's a great experience. Sometimes we're talking about racial tensions. Sometimes we're talking about Kim Kardashian's ass. It just depends.
Sometimes Kevin and Jan are discussing buns.
Yeah, we're touching buns. Like, it's it's whatever you want it to be. Bring your news and we can interact with it. That's pretty much what DINtv is. So,
but definitely March 1st, it's an important day for this election moving forward.
If Hillary wins, Pedro's gonna twerk for everyone.
No, I think those were, my closest statements. And overall, I was keeping track while everybody was going and saying their own, statements. And I think in this panel, I think Bernie Sanders won this debate by, the little that everybody pitched in.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody went for Hillary. Everybody just kind of leaning for Bernie Sanders. And I just think this is the ticket, Bernie and Hillary. What else you want? This ticket could.
Oh shit!
I think this ticket could be.
Let's go to the West.
Interjecting. Go ahead, Wes.
But let's do this. Let's have an honest
Start West.
about what they propose.
It's just gonna be a white box, but okay.
But we need to sit down and look at what's on these people's website, and we need to do this line by line and have that discussion. Because if we just want to listen to what they say, we're never going to get anything done, especially as a whole population. The information is available.
I agree with you, Les, completely. I think we should definitely have a show where we run down the different stances that each candidate has. Do you think that you'd want to do something like that, host maybe a discussion about that in the future?
That would be interesting.
That would be
we're down. Just come through. You don't have to even show your face. You can still be out there. It's fine. He can just talk. He has a smart mouth, so I think he can talk. Just come through and just explain, because there's a lot of people that feel the same way you do. We have hosts that feel the same way as you do, as you saw earlier.
Wow.
So Amanda and Kayla were loving Wes.
Well, because I'm sure Wes was talking about some anti-Obama bullshit stuff.
No, I don't even speak on Obama. Nothing to say about him.
Why do you sound so mad?
There's nothing to say about Obama.
Like you about to lay hands on somebody.
Me and Wes.
Wes.
Oh, okay.
Be like, man, ain't nobody worry about no
Obama. His legacy is all laid, and he's gonna skate out the wide, slide up in that deal, and get on the part of there so fast.
For real. I agree with Wes on that one.
On that note, in behalf of DINtv, we want to thank Wes for coming on. I know your opinions are definitely valid. Ron, definitely. Thank you for spending time with us. And Brian, I wish you would have come a little sooner. But you guys, if you guys want to follow us in Twitter, it's DINtv_com.
I got you, man. I'm writing it into the box.
And then if you guys check there, you guys can see, what are we doing next in terms of big events, which is always, something that we do. And then just come online. And sometimes we're on it. Sometimes we're not even we're just sitting here talking, and you guys pop up, and then we can just start up and steer up the conversation. Sometimes Carol is here. Siobhan is here.
You think this place is heated? Check out our Facebook. We have pictures on there where it has so many comments. If you want to debate with somebody textually, go to our Facebook page. We have a lot of content on there. Sometimes we gotta move those finger play.
We're still in discussion to do this whole DINtv After Dark, but that's only a prototype. It's coming.
It's coming. DINtv After Dark is definitely coming for sure.
Pedro's gonna be naked, guys.
It's coming. Well, let's see.
What were you gonna say, Brian?
As long as Jonas comes up,
I was gonna say Kevin's gonna take them, right? But
of course. As long as Brian's there. If Brian's there, for sure.
Oh my God.
Why not? Why the fuck not?
I'm not doing this with you guys.
And also, this is another thing. Have you guys been watching? I've been saying it because I've been watching it a lot. The People versus OJ.
I didn't see
TV
it.
show. Guys, catch it. I'm gonna talk to some people, see if we can stream it here. I don't know if it's legal, but we just do it no matter what. It doesn't matter, and we can have a discussion after the show because that show is kicking some stir and it's just really messing it all up. So if we can,
did you guys watch the People versus OJ?
Excuse me.
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but it appears that I have to leave soon. So no. But I just want to get one thing clear. All right. I understand that DINtv has to have a discussion every day, right?
Yes.
I mean, if you want to, why not? Just come in and talk about it. You have to listen to it. We're obligated to. So.
But the thing is that I was trying to continually ask if there's an appointment system that I can use, so that way I can handle coming here while taking care of my other obligations.
Oh, definitely. What we're gonna have that feature put up soon. But your best bet, Juan, is follow us on Facebook because we usually broadcast from 5 to 11, usually like this. So anytime we're broadcasting, just jump in. And the thing is, you guys control what we talk about. If you bring media or news, let's say Wes brings in news about something like striking his mind. He'll bring it in, we'll discuss it, and give our opinions on what he feels about the news. Just all you. You can bring something in about the TPP, we'll discuss it, and you'll hear our thoughts on that. So it's whatever you guys want this to be. That's what DINtv is. It's your news that you're able to talk with other people with different opinions and get different perspectives on your story. You get what I'm saying?
I think what's important for him is knowing who's going to be on and what time he should come on.
Oh,
yeah.
No? The important thing is that I can be able to make my own schedule in which I can come to DINtv while making sure I go to my other obligations.
I think to answer that question, I think you definitely do that. If you have a smartphone, just download Periscope or Meerkat. You can always check and you can look what we're talking about. If you're interested, you can then go to our DINtv, and then with Periscope, we can actually post. And we can read what you're saying, and we can have that interaction with you if you happen not to be in front of your computer. Definitely. Anywhere you are, we can definitely see you. You can see us, definitely.
All right. Just really quickly, I don't think I can come in for the weekend, but maybe I can try to come in for like Monday at 5 or so.
Okay, awesome. Anytime you're able to come in, Juan, don't feel like you're obligated to, but it would be nice if you wanted to come in and just talk to us because we like hearing your thoughts and stuff. So that goes for everyone. Wes, Brian, Yana, everybody on Meerkat and Periscope. If you guys ever feel like you want to talk about anything, seriously, just come to DINtv. We'll talk about it. There's no limit. We've talked about abortions. We've talked about
like Kevin said.
So
Facebook might be the best way to reach DINtv. And
but don't worry, I actually feel happy about joining in these discussions. I'm not feeling obligated, but I feel like I want to do this.
That's awesome. And again, tell your friends and everything.
Good night, Juan. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Well, on that note, I think that might summarizes our night. Thank you, Brian.
I'm still mad at Brian. I'm still mad at him
for coming in.
He was supposed to come in at night.
I could just say something real fast, and you can just leave it at that. Look, again, just think of what made the country. It was a space program. And anybody who
never a straight answer with NASA.
Anybody who thinks that the Chinese hitting the moon from the backside, shall we say, landing on it, is some sort of trivial thing. You have to think we don't have a space program. That's what's killing us right now because nobody's doing the thinking.
Unless you're gonna put 30 million people in a spaceship and send them to the moon with jobs, bro, ain't nobody thinking about no space program. I'm being real with you.